Kwe. Kwe. Square kwasan ni tampak. Wani matampan. Kwe. Sup? How's everybody doing out here today? Am I the only one who came here to connect for change? I don't think so. Let's do better than that. How you guys doing out there today? That's right, that's right. Well, square kwasan ni tampak na tasawis Annawon masipi Wampanoag. Katapatanamu what you want me tamkasak ka ni tampak ka matamu sasak ka kuamanash. For those of you who aren't familiar with our native tongue here, I will use this foreign language of English. You guys can understand that, right? Yeah. All right. Well, I'm a member of the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe, located not far from here. Yeah, we got some Wamps in the house. Excellent. We got some supporters at least, that's for sure. Well, it's always a pleasure. This is obviously the 10th annual, and it's been an honor to be here for all 10 of these Connecting for Change conferences. So let's give a round of applause to the Marion Institute and all those who put this together every year. They bring us all together to connect for change. Now, many, many moons ago, many settlers came upon these shores. It was my mother's tribe, the Mashpee Wampanoag, that I'm a part of, that greeted those settlers. Many of the things we wished to share with them, they were very reluctant to accept. Many of those same lessons right now are the teachings that many scholars, many scientists, ethnobotanists, you name it, a lot of people come to us to look for the teachings that we've been teaching for thousands of years prior to colonization and even continue to today. So since for those of us who are here to connect for change, I'm sure a lot of you are into this social media. I see everybody doing their paparazzis and Instagram moments over here. So those of you who are taking pictures, they're highly, highly encouraging you to use hashtag CFC 2014 to promote what we're all trying to do here. We're all coming together to make a difference. And obviously, the more people we can include on that, the stronger we have as a momentum moving forward as making a more positive future for our future generations. For those of you who are not familiar with the Mashpee Wampanoag, any of you who are educators, any of you who are simply interested in the native culture, the native teachings and whatnot, I would highly recommend you take your phone out right now. Those of you who have your smartphone, you got your Instagram apps, you got your Facebook apps. I don't tweet much, but if you add me at Annawon W, you can look at the flyer. It should have my name on it. Annawon W at Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I usually try and use those pages for helping people access that information that they really can't find. There's many ways in which we give thanks. There's many teachings that we pass on, but we always taught our stories to our children. We would act them out, the song you saw me come out and do. For those of you who realized, I was actually paying tribute to the 4 directions. I usually start in the east, and we have to make all 4 directions, our 4 cardinal directions. When we do our Calumet dance, we do that. When we smoke our pipe, we usually blow our smoke in all 4 directions. The Great Spirit has presented us with many gifts here on this world. A great gift that we have is our storytelling. And I do have a very brief time, but I do feel the need to remind us of our original instructions for those of us who may have forgotten. As the native people, the indigenous people here on Turtle Island, as we call it, there are many different creation stories around the country with all the different tribes and different beliefs. A commonly shared story is that of the sky people, where this world at one time was nothing but water. And the only people that could live during that time were the sky people in the sky world. Now, when Father Sky was out doing his yard work one day, he removed a tree out of the ground. He ripped that tree out of the ground with his bare hands, and the roots of this particular tree went so deep into the floor of the sky world that by removing the tree itself, the roots and everything that came with it opened a hole to this physical world that we now occupy. Now, all of the sky people had no idea what was down at the bottom of that hole. They couldn't see the bottom, because it was such a far distance between our 2 worlds. Some were more curious than others. Some were nosy. Some were pushy, shovey, rude. Sky Woman just happened to be all of those. She barged, she pushed her way. Get out of my way! She was rude. I want to see! When she looked into that hole, no matter how pushy, how close she got, she couldn't see any more than the rest of the sky people. Being determined as she was, however, she just kept getting closer and closer. I think we all know what happened to that woman. Exactly. Took her many, many moons to fall all the way here from the sky where... Now, when she landed here, boy, was she lucky this entire planet was nothing but water. Unfortunately, she had never experienced water in the sky world. She immediately realized, I can't breathe this stuff. Gasping for air, she couldn't even doggy paddle. She was struggling to stay afloat. She was screaming, help, help! Now, all of these sea creatures, they heard her crash into the water. They heard her screaming and flailing about, help! None of them knew what to do, though. I don't even know what this thing is. It looks like it could use some help. You should go help it. Why do I have to help it? What if it wants to eat me? It might not be a vegetarian. All of these sea creatures sat there helplessly until that giant sea turtle arrived. And he realized he could come up from beneath the surface and allow her to rest on the back of his mighty shell. And that is what he did. And she was saved. But it was at that point in time she looked out upon all of these sea creatures who had gathered. And she asked each and every one of them, she pleaded with them, please, I beg of you, if any one of you can swim to the bottom of this water, I promise, there's dirt there. And if any one of you can bring me even a small sample of dirt, I can bring many great living things to this land. And it was at that time that all the sea creatures wanted to help her. And they all started to swim to the bottom, trying to find this dirt that she's talking about. Of all these sea creatures, even the mighty whale could not accomplish what that tiny muskrat did that day. He held his little muskrat lungs with as much air as he could. He swam all the way to the bottom. He took his little tiny paw. You guys have any idea how small a muskrat paw is? It's tiny. Filled it with as much dirt as he could, proudly swam all the way back to Sky Woman, and he gave it to her. And she took that little tiny muskrat paw filled with dirt, a little bit of dirt. She sprinkled it all over the back of that turtle's shell. And that's when she decided what she wanted to create on this land that we call Turtle Island. All the different environments she created, the trees in the forest, the prairie grass on the prairie, polar ice caps, cactus in the desert. It was at that time that she remembered how helpful all these sea creatures were when she needed their help. And that was when she gathered those animals, those land beings, the deer she put in the forest, the buffalo out on that prairie, coyote, the trickster, out in that desert. And it was at that time that she remembered and started to miss her sky people back up in the sky world. And she made us, the human beings, in the likeness of those people that she had left behind. However, she made us as human beings for one reason and one reason only. And as Native people, we have always been instructed, our only purpose for being here is to maintain the balance amongst all that she had created here, to preserve what we can for our future generations. Not just our own children, because that's still selfish of us. We always think ahead of 7 generations who have yet to be born, who must inherit what we leave behind. We don't just want to leave them enough to get by. We want to try and take care of it so that it's even better for them when they inherit it. So I share that message with all of us today as we embark on this conference here, as we gather and connect for change. We are still here on this native soil. When you look out on the streets of New Bedford, I'm sure you have very little to remind you of these teachings that I've shared with you today. I highly encourage those of you who can to follow me online and also to pursue other things. There are many powwows and the gatherings throughout the region, all around the country, to be honest with you. There's a lot of reservations that are in need. Right now, I do feel the need to explain some of the fracking and other horrible things that are being done all around this country, up into Canada. They're sending subsonic waves through the ground to basically find and discover what minerals lie beneath the surface. Canada has been at the forefront of pretty much removing sovereignty from native tribes. Canada has passed legislation that basically says they can come into a reservation where a community has been for thousands of years. If they find any minerals of value beneath the soil, they can remove the people. And it's caused a lot of friction up there in Canada. Some of that kind of activity as far as the fracking itself and looking for the uranium, oil, anything they can discover under the soil. It pollutes our waterways, for those of you who are not familiar with it. So there are many, many Native communities that are in need of help. So as we consider all the other, when we listen to our speakers that are going to be speaking here throughout the weekend, I'm really honored every year that they've been able to include us as the Native people, the Native voice, not just obviously hosting this in this space, but also just sharing our knowledge with you. So again, I look forward to it. I'm an educator myself. Those of you who are out there who are educators, do feel free to connect for change. So I hope that all of you can share that message with whoever you feel needs to hear it. Hopefully we will all remember that message every day as we live here on this earth that we have to pass on to our loved ones who have yet to be born. So I'm going to leave you guys on that message. I think we have a great conference ahead of us. I'm going to turn it over to everybody else. I hope you guys have an awesome time connecting for change.